Get ready to revolutionize your wardrobe and your perception of fashion tech. Because today, we're diving into the dynamic world of Oya Apparel on Blurred Out. I'm your host, Terrence, and we're about to uncover the groundbreaking fusion of science, style, and sustainability that's redefining what it means to wear technology. So kick back, lace up your coolest kicks, and prepare to be inspired as we embark on the stylish journey with the visionary CEO and co-founder of Oya, Mitch Gilbert. Welcome to Blurred Out. But before we dive into the episode, make sure you hit the like button, leave some comments, and subscribe to the movement.
Confidence, yeah. It really shouldn't be no arguments, cause you're now viewing the greatest of all time, saying I can't get better, I promise.
Welcome to the show, Mitchell Gilbert. Thank you for joining us here. So if you don't mind, just kind of start off by sharing your who you are, what you do, and tell us a little bit more about yourself to our audience.
Yeah, so I am an entrepreneur. I run two businesses. I'm a they, them. I'm a Los Angeles transplant. I moved here from Philadelphia. We can't say, I don't know if we can say free meek, go meek anymore. I don't know what's going on with that, but hey.
You can say it on this show.
We can say it on this show. I went to UCLA, University of Chicago. I'm a passionate feminist. I'm really into public policy and women's health, and really about personal growth. So excited to be here.
Love that. So let's talk about the motto, science you can wear.
Okay.
Right? You mind elaborating a little bit about, what that means and, what's the significance behind that?
I don't even think that's ours, but I love it. I'm going to take it.
Okay. Well, I mean, how does it contribute to sustainability and the wellness for your product?
Yeah, so my brand is Oya Femtech Apparel, and we're like the Under Armour of vaginas. So we make really technical sportswear that's designed to help women who sweat live healthier lives. So our apparel fights issues like yeast infections, UTIs, boob rash, all those fun things. And there's a lot of science that goes behind it. So we actually have a utility patent, not a design patent. Mm-hmm. And that's based off of the construction of our garment, because we're the first legging that promotes ventilation as well as absorption. We also do bacteria management. There's a lot that goes into our material sciences. So textile engineers, we work closely with them. We just partnered with the Air Force, and everything is around how do we help women who sweat function more easily, because what they're currently wearing is has been having a lot of adverse health complications.
Interesting. That's pretty powerful. I mean, like, I've never heard of anything like that as far as it goes, apparel wise. What about as far as like, skin conditions? Like, does it help with the skin breathing? Say somebody who has a eczema or paralysis or something like that. Like, are there benefits to wearing a product that has science built into it?
Yeah, so we focus more so on issues like skin contact dermatitis, which is like yeast infections or anything like that. But our fabrics are made and they're free of 80,000 different toxins like PFAs, PFOAs, BPAs. And you see, we're also Prop 65 compliant. So if you're familiar with like California Prop 65, to keep all these toxins out of just like every good, like including Starbucks. So if you had eczema or any sort of skin issues, more research has been coming out that people are actually becoming increasingly allergic to spandex. Mm-hmm. So maybe that may trigger your eczema, but that's because our competitors are putting a lot of toxins in these fabrics because it's cheaper to make them. So kind of in the same way that you should probably buy skincare that's clean with healthy ingredients, you should probably also buy fabrics that are clean and made with non-toxic ingredients. So that may help. Understood.
That's powerful. So tell me a little bit about the name, Oya Apparel. Like, where'd you get the name from?
So I used to work at Nike. That was my goal. And I was one of the first MBA interns there for my class, and was really inspired by this idea of a goddess. Also just inspired by Nike's business model entirely. Like, they didn't start out as just like a marketing brand. They started out building something functional to help athletes like better do their sport, which was running. Yeah. And Oya is similar to that. We don't want to just be a carbon copy. This girl looks good in her butt. Although we hope your butt looks good in Oya. We do design for butts. But we're functionally designed to help you sweat more healthily. And so I was inspired by a goddess, and we were looking for our patron goddess, and we landed on Oya, who is a Nigerian warrior goddess. She represents fertility, rebirth, and storms, and we thought that that was a really great name for a women's apparel brand that was focused on our health.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
So as a young black female entrepreneur, like what are some of the challenges that you've faced so far, and how have you overcome them?
So I'm female presenting. I am a they, them. I think it's been interesting. One, socioeconomic class is a big thing in our country. I think not just even skin color. So I come from a very like working class background, very humble beginnings, and learning how to navigate environments of people who have money can be really difficult. I would say when I first started Oya, I would say I spent the first year learning how to explain it to people who didn't look like me.
Right.
And that's because sometimes the way our country is, we're so divided that we're not always taught how to listen to people who don't look like you. And so I found myself needing to enter to pitch competitions and get my reps in, explaining myself to someone who was looking for reasons not to invest in me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then once I got over that hurdle, I would say the next hurdle was, how do I manage people who then don't look like me? Because now you might subconsciously have ideas about who I am that you may not even fully express, which we saw with George Floyd, right? People had a lot of subconscious beliefs that were coming out in how the company was run, but that wasn't necessarily written down on paper. And a lot of that was, I'm still learning every day, but I can say that not needing to be perfect, focusing a lot on my own weaknesses and where I can improve, and trying to hold grace for people has really helped me improve in that process. But I would say talking to people and learning how to manage them.
Yeah, no, I can tell that you've faced a lot of adversity, and you've overcome it, and you're doing the company's doing great. And like you said, just being honest with yourself, you're still learning, right?
I'm still every day.
Yeah,
Every day.
That's dope. That's
Every
dope.
day.
So let's talk about like the passing of your mom, right? And how that may have impacted you, and how did the lack of mentorship or leadership in that position, impact you and in creating the journey for Oya?
Yeah, I think it still impacts me. Oya is very oriented around women's health because I think women don't always know how to take time to take care of themselves. We are so used to. My mother's story continues to teach me every day because, even though she's not here, I would say there's things that I embody of her.
Yeah.
Like we almost look the same pretty much. And how do you give but do it in a way where there are boundaries? How do you make sure that you go to the gym and eat healthy? How do you maintain your joy? And how do you have interpersonal relationships where it's not just like you have everyone on payroll and you have to be the leader all the time? And so I think all of those things still resonate with me. I think sometimes I get really angry at the universe. I think not having parents is like, I don't think I really understood, because like growing up where I'm from, everybody was almost at a disadvantage, so it was normal. Like, like certain things were normalized. Like, it's like, hey, at least you got heat, right? Like you went in that regards. But going to business school, where I really started to understand socioeconomic classes and how often people are born into certain positions. And I think it used to make me frustrated because I just didn't see, I felt like I needed to work harder for things. And I would wind up in the same place, but maybe it's like I would be deemed like rough around the edges or something like that. But like, now I'm kind of at a place where it's like I'm accepting people come from different backgrounds, and I'm also really proud of whatever my mother gave me got me here. So you may have still had more resources, and yet we're in the same place, and I'm probably worth more money. So let's start there. Let's start there and put some respect on my name and my mother's name while we at it. So yeah, I don't know, but we're still working on it.
Well, heck, I'm proud of you. I mean, you're an inspiration to us all. Just overcoming
you.
something like that and continuing to persevere and keep pushing.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a position where a lot of people may have given up, right? And,
Thank you.
And just dropped the ball completely. So, thank God for the mental health, and thank God for just having the energy and the motivation to through your mother and keep on going. So that's super powerful and encouraging to those who need that extra push. So. Back to the business, like, what was it like raising funds for your company and navigating just to get this business started, and how's that going now?
So I'm one of the first 200 black women presenting to ever raise over $1 million in venture capital. And sometimes I felt like it made me feel guilty because it's almost like survivor's remorse.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then it's also interesting because now the money isn't just like a gift, right? Now you got all these people in your ear.
Yeah.
And like, I'm the type of person that always wants a gold star, or I was, where I always wanted to be told, good job. And it was really hard for me learning how to manage people and how to manage. I'm 5 feet tall. like most people don't. Most people aren't like, hey, you the leader. Like, you know, especially if they're older, right? And so it just really, I think fundraising really required a lot of work. Yeah. It required me to go into solitude in some extent. Like when in business school, a lot of my friends were going out partying and stuff like that. I was grinding. And I just had a goal. And $1 million was such an arbitrary number. I think someone just said I couldn't do it. And I was like, nah, I can do this. And so I went and did it. Yeah. And what was crazy about it is it would have been easier to be an Olympian multiple times over. Because if you think about it, 200 black women in America, yeah, the world, it would have been easier to be an Olympian. And now that I'm here and Oya has grown and we've gotten better at it, I would say, or just I've gotten stronger in my identity, my company's identity, my vision, how to manage people. Money flows to me. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm going out there like initially trying to like be like prove my worth or like that you should even listen to me. So it's come in phases, but I think a big piece of it is recognizing that people who have money may not look like you and they may not even have learned how to listen to people who look like you. So sometimes code switching was helpful for me in order to explain what I was trying to do to people who look different.
Yeah, got it. Has there been a challenge with you being such a young entrepreneur right now and then kind of facing, you know, probably much older, you know, individuals with funds, right? You know, and just looking at you at your age and what you've done in such a short amount of time, like have they challenged you and, you know, and what's that been like for you?
I think earlier on in my career, I think people were just like, what is she talking about? Vaginas? Sit down. I'm like, okay. So I think it took me some time to get myself from away from those people, because I tell people that fundraising is like dating in your 20s. Like you just keep dating people that don't like you. And then you're like, wow, these people are so mean to me. Well, girl, they never liked you. Like, let's start there. Like they're never even given an indication that they may like you. They don't date people who look like you. And what I mean by that is they may not invest in people who look like you. They may not invest in your vertical. They may not invest in, or they may not even, their values may not align with the vision that you're trying to create in the world. And so I think sometimes founders get tired because they just see that someone's a venture capitalist and you assume, oh, that person has to know all the answers, or if they say, if their yes may change my life. But their yes may change your life and it may not even be in a good way. I've seen people who've raised money and had amazing businesses, but essentially need to break them down and sell them because the people that they took money from were not good to them. And so I think early on, I started learning everyone's not my person. And so now I'm at a place in my career where I'm much more aligned in like what I'm trying to create. And I'm much more choosy about who I spend time with. And so, am I allowed to say the F word?
Go for it.
All right. So I'm at a place in business, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. And I'm not really trying to be near you. Like, I'm just not. Like, and that has made things move a lot faster.
Okay. See, everything goes on the Blurred Out Show.
It's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no.
Say it again. All right. No, so the company's diversity and inclusion has been, you know, really important to the way you approach the designs and everything and representation. Like, how are you, you know, continuing to break stereotypes and give people a reason why this apparel is important and why it's necessary?
Yeah, so fashion actually isn't really that inclusive, right? Okay. It's like, it's not even that like diverse. And like you see like marketing campaigns where maybe it's like this kind of blackish, you know, ethnically ambiguous kind of vibe. But I was just watching the what was Tyra Banks's Next Top Model, and it was a woman who was a size large, and they were interviewing her about how did she feel being the only plus size model. So it's like you really have to think like maybe only like 14 years ago a size large was considered plus size, even though this country is like bigger. So it can be really fashion can be really not inclusive, and so it's taken us a lot of time to think through like how do we cover your breasts? How do we cover your butts? And on a limited budget for a small team, we are trying every single collection to get better. Like we may not have because part of it is our customer keeps changing. Like we started with hardcore feminist athletes, and now we're getting people who just like athleisure because they want non-toxic clothing. But now you have different requirements because a hardcore athlete wants something that's compressive, that's moisture wicking, whereas someone who's wearing athleisure wants something they can wear all day. So they're not actually looking for compression. So now you have different goals, which if I was at Nike, I would have a budget enough to make 2 separate products, right? Whereas now, but because we're a startup, I'm limited in what I can do. So I only have maybe 2 products. So another thing to think about is at Nike, it takes about 18 months to create a product. Whereas with Oya, in order to show people that what we're doing matters and that we're trying to grow, we have to iterate every single collection and just, be competing with ourselves because that's how we get our brand and our identity out there. I would say we have a diverse team. We have Muslims, we have Christians, we have atheists, we have French, we have Albanian, we have German, we have Jewish. I do think that this is the strongest the Oya team has been to date, and this is also probably the most diverse our team has been. And diversity pushes you forward sometimes because that tension with everyone thinking thinking differently can really propel you, and it can be kind of tense sometimes, I would say, as a leader, managing all the differences. But I will say that we do work so hard to try, and that is, at certain points in this company, I feel like the answer could have been to try and just make another knockoff Lululemon. And I was like, nah. Nope.
Now you mentioned something, you mentioned about can you call it hardcore?
Hardcore.
What type of athletic, individual would that be? Would that be are we talking hardcore? Is that basketball? Is that, track? Where's the lane for that?
Early in our design process, we actually started working with WNBA players. So one of our investors owns the Chicago WNBA team. Shout out to Candace Parker, by the way, who just got named head of Nike women's at Adidas.
Adidas, okay.
Shout out Candace. She's beautiful, and so is her kid.
Awesome.
And so we did start testing with women who sweat, like WNBA players. Yeah. And now we're working with women air crew in the Air Force. So these are also badass women who sweat. I played rugby, so, working with just women who aren't afraid to get dirty, which is different than your athleisure customer who may be going to a Pilates class or a yoga class. So just different needs around fit and compression.
So another question, have you done any work related to the sports and the some of the colleges and HBCUs, right, as it relates to representation? I'm sure this would be something that some of the women's sports team at the HBCUs would be interested in.
Yeah, and I think as Oya grows, college is definitely an area. We have talked to some collegiate women athletes because they're dealing with a lot of feminine health issues with absolutely no language. No, people may not necessarily even be talking to them about these issues, but they may be dealing with the ramifications of them. And so I used to be a teacher, and my heart is really in the youth. But another thing about having a startup is what you say, and it's interesting to me because growing up, I always was told I had to be 3 times as good, right? Not even 2 times, 3 times. And how do you get 3 times as good? You don't say no. Every time an opportunity comes up or you're doing something, you're always yes, I'm full speed ahead on everything. And it wasn't until Oya hit a low point and I was looking at my lead investor that he told me, when you have money or you have power, what becomes more important is what you say no to. And maybe it's not even no indefinitely. It just may be no at this time.
Right.
And so in the future, I do want to work with collegiate female athletes because I do think we can help support them. And the same thing with professional women athletes. Like these women are sick. Like some WNBA players we heard are wearing, after they had a baby, they're wearing 4 or 5 pairs of spandex because they leak. And in their uniforms, they're required to wear white. And so they're so deathly afraid of catching any leaks on camera. And now you're thinking 4 to 5 pairs of spandex. Like, girl, I know something is wrong in your physiology, like underneath 4 or 5 pairs of spandex. So my heart is really there. But the problem with like women athletes is that people don't spend a lot of money on their uniforms. And women athletes are oftentimes just trying to get enough respect to play.
Right.
So you're hearing with the whole Caitlin Clark situation, like her entry salary into the WNBA is only $75,000. So it's like, how much are they going to spend on innovation for her uniform?
Wow. Good point. I mean, speaking of that, what are some of the specific needs and challenges faced by women, and how are you integrating your technology into fashion to speak to those issues? So
most apparel is made for male athletes or male soldiers. So if you think about like Under Armour, which is really popular in the military as well, it was started for football players because they had needs around like sweat and just something that felt silky against their skin. Now, women overall, we have issues with moisture management, and we are kind of like almost like our bodies are almost like open wounds, like in the sense that we also need to wear more clothes. So we have to wear sports bras, we have to wear leggings, sometimes underwear because maybe we're on our period, or like we're wearing pads and tampons and all this stuff. And so it's really important that I liken most leggings similar to like garbage bags that you leave in your kitchen in the summer when it's hot and you left chicken in it. That's kind of what you're wearing. It's like this like microplastic that don't breathe, and things are like, the bad bacteria is thriving and it's not in a good way. And so Oya's patented system is 2 to 4 times more breathable, 4 times more absorbent, and we also reduce bacteria and odor. And we were designed with 80 doctors to help women fight all of those feminine health issues, like rashes, yeast infections, and like bacterial infections.
Wow. I'm learning a lot. You know, obviously, I don't know these things. I'm not a woman, right? But this is quite impressive. So just to be clear, like, are you saying that fashion, you know, and some of the sport fashion apparel is designed for men, and they just use that same technology and that they use for men for women, and just say go for it? Like,
right? Yeah. No. 100%. Okay. Like, for example, a lot of women's period underwear are really, the fabrics haven't been advanced from like baby diapers. And so like you're looking at some fabrics from like the 1900s that they just cut in a cute way, and then they put it on your body. And then some of these fabrics aren't even being tested for toxic chemicals. So a lot of them have PFAS in them, which is because, you know, with a diaper, even if it's reusable, you don't want it to leak through. So that plastic coating is like very cancerous chemicals on it. And so they keep finding all this cancerous chemicals in these period underwear in the U.S. And nobody's really regulating it, especially if you get it made overseas. So women are just so... but I don't think it's just apparel. I think a lot of things are, like, women didn't even make it to medical textbooks really until like the early 2000s. So like, what that even mean? I'm taking my chances. My generation is more likely to die in childbirth, and so is our baby, than our mother's generation. So I don't know why people don't talk about that, because that seems terrifying to me.
Sounds terrifying.
Yeah, so a lot of things just aren't made for women. And there's a book that's called Invisible Women that outlines how many things are just not made for women, but that were like seatbelts. Yeah. Like a seatbelt wasn't designed for a woman until like, maybe it was like, 2019 or something like that, 2018. Yeah. And so women were just like more statistically likely to die in a car accident because no one just designed for us.
Man, you are doing the innovative research and work that we need. Like, obviously, these things are needed, and just really proud of what you're doing. So can you talk about some of the actual products and apparel that you provide? You know, is it just, you know, we talked about leggings and sports bras. Like, what are some of the other products that you have?
Yeah, leggings, shorts. And shorts being different lengths. We have compression shorts that go underneath your uniforms or underneath your skirts if you're sweating. We have these removable inserts that go into all of our bottoms that help with moisture absorption and bacteria reduction and odor management. We have underwear, so available in a brief and a thong. We have 2 types of sports bras, so a zip sports bra and a pullover sports bra. Both of those help with moisture management and chafing. We also have our first shirt that will be going into REI, so it's a long sleeve, breathable style. And then we have 2 types of jackets.
Okay, great. And do you mind, are you able to share any of the partnerships or initiatives that you're working on, whether for the community or,
Yeah, so we're launching at REI Burbank.
Yep.
So we're really excited about that. We plan to do some activations, so come check us out, hang out. But this Air Force partnership is really, so right now we are partnered with women air crew across 4 to 5 bases in America.
Okay.
And we are right now being put up for a grant where we would partner really heavily with Travis Air Force Base, which is up north. And it's crazy because we're going to create something that's never been seen before for women, like who are pilots. Like the Air Force spends $1 million training each pilot. And like if you're a woman, you're actually 30 times more likely to develop feminine health issues than a civilian. And you're like 30 times more likely to get a UTI than a man. But if you get a UTI and you're a pilot, you can't fly for 5 to 7 days. What? So now like these missions are being jeopardized because they actually just never thought to design for the fact that a woman's physiology works different. And so these women on these planes are just getting sick, even though they spent so much money training them. Isn't that crazy?
That's real crazy.
That's crazy.
Wow. And I'm just amazed that here we are in 2024 and no one's talking about this, no one's thinking about it, and no one's done anything about it. So just kudos to you. Like this is super powerful.
Thank you. We've been working really hard, and I'm excited about how much progress my team has made over the last 3 years. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to get to a place where Oya can dress so many women athletes and just help them live more healthy lives, and women in our armed forces. Like, you shouldn't be sick just because you go into work.
Right. Love it, love it. So the Blurred Out movement, we emphasize on blending intellect and being cool, right? That was the whole idea. Like, how do we take technology and innovation and make it a cool thing? Like, can you talk about how Oya is embodying the spirit of, technology, innovation, and what's the cool thing to have out there?
I wouldn't even know if I would say I was cool. I'm not.
Nah.
I'm such a nerd.
That's cool.
And antisocial, probably.
Yeah, antisocial. Well, I mean, and that's the whole idea, right? Somebody out there who's also, going to geek out on your technology.
Yeah, come geek out with me, though.
So
yeah,
what was that experience like for you? Like, when you're coming up with this and you're in the room like, yo, this will be dope, right? And you get started there, like, how are you embodying that spirit and, and offer that level of intelligence and intellect that you have with others?
I would say I would say don't be afraid to have a vision and to work on it. Mm-hmm. And I found that the more clearly I can articulate where I want to go and the more enthusiasm I have about what I want to create, the more people will naturally align themselves with us because they want part of that energy. And so I would definitely, my boyfriend's the cool one. I'm like,
okay, so you guys are blending together.
Yeah. I would, yeah, he's the cool one. But I would say I'm honest and I'm an easy person to talk to, and I have really good values, and I think that on top of being a geek that gets excited about fabrics and science and feminine health and like feminism and advancement, it's been cool finding my tribe.
Yeah, well, trust me, I think you're pretty cool.
Thanks.
And it's super dope. This is all very cool to me, and I'm sure that our audience, they're gonna look at this and that's what I always felt like, with the Blurred Out movement, that you mention something, you talk about something, and you think you're the only one who's connected to it, and you find out there's hundreds of people who are interested in the same thing. So thank you for just empowering somebody out there in advance.
I also want to add, don't focus so much on being cool. Like, I feel like part of social media, and honestly, partly what I learned from business school is so many people are willing to like travel in packs that they can silence themselves and put themselves in like toxic situations or like talk to themselves not nicely because they're trying to like fit in with these groups of people who may not even like themselves or may not be considered about being good people or anything like that. And so something that I'm trying to work on is building spaces, even if it sometimes is alone, that feel really nurturing and beautiful to me. Because like a lot of cool is just toxic. Like, I don't know if you saw this Nickelodeon show where they were touching all those kids or like Diddy or all these like cool. And it's just like, who even made up cool? Some dude with a bunch of money who just wants us all to work harder and die? I don't trust it.
Yeah. I get it. Well, on this show, you know,
Yes.
cool.
Yeah,
geeking out is very cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So as a black woman CEO, there's got to be some young girl out there who's gonna see this and be inspired by what you're doing. Like, what advice would you give to them to going into technology?
Find help. I think a lot of times people won't do things because it seems so hard. But you can eat an elephant a bite at a time. So set measurable goals and find help. Like, for example, I wasn't going to go to business school. I got recruited to go to Harvard. And I had to be convinced. And when I tell you convinced, I mean this man would call me. I met with him. His wife went to campus twice. Didn't even go to that school. And like, but once he planted the seed in my mind. And then I was like, oh, I could go to business school for free. And somebody could teach me how to talk to a venture capitalist. Someone could teach me da-da-da. So like, don't let those gaps distract you from where you're trying to go. Look for help along the way, because there are people who do want to see you win. And don't spend so much time with people who refuse to see you and who can't see you, because seeing you may invalidate what their preconceptions about life are.
Like that. Yeah, no, you're definitely right. You said it. Like, there's definitely more people who want to see you win than who don't.
Yeah, find your people. Go where it go. Follow the love.
Follow the love. I like that.
Follow the love.
All right. Well, that's what we're doing right now. So if you don't mind, can you tell our audience where they can find out more about Oya Apparel, more about what you're doing and the future work that you have upcoming work you have?
Yeah. So you can follow us on IG at wearoya.com. Or sorry, no, just wearoya. And you can go to our website, which is also wearoya.com. And you can follow me at Life of Mitch G. And we're also, me and Oya are both on LinkedIn. So if you need some pick-me-ups, or you're working out and you just want to be healthier, check us out.
Okay. And any upcoming projects coming up that people need to look out for, other than, I know you mentioned the work that you're doing with the military.
Yeah, our REI launch. Oh, I can't wait for our military photo shoots. They're gonna go. I want planes. Like, I'm like so extra. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
Just like I want like a jet in the background with like the crazy flag billowing.
Dope.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. And again, this is the Blurred Out Show. Thank you, Michela, Gilbert, for showing up on the Blurred Out podcast today. We appreciate all the energy that you've shared with us and teaching us about Femtech and the innovation that goes into the Oya Apparel. So this is the Blurred Out podcast, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Confidence, yeah. It really shouldn't be no arguments, 'cause you're now viewing the greatest of all time.